What's in a performance? We've all heard great performances, but what makes someone's playing great? What differentiates one performer from another? What goes on behind the scenes when someone's practicing and processing to make these performances possible? Hey everyone, it's WattKeys, and welcome to a new series on this channel, What's in a Performance? Or maybe if you're one of those funny people, what's in a performance? So basically what I want to do in this series is take performances and break them down to analyze what really goes on behind the scenes to make a performance what it is. Of course, I'm going to start with mine since I understand myself and what I'm playing the best, but I'll have a video out later breaking performances into what I feel are the core components. Right, what goes into interpretation, what goes into technique, what goes into style, and all these other things that make a performance what it is, essentially. But to start off with, since this is the introduction video, I guess I'll answer the question of why am I doing this? I have three reasons. The first one is that I want to be able to connect with you, the audience, more. You never really see or talk to me all that much or understand what I'm thinking all that much when I'm just playing music, right? Like, music is a great form of nonverbal communication. I get to say all these things through my playing, through the expression within the piece. I'm telling all these stories, and it is so incredible because music makes us feel a certain way. Yet at the same time, because it is nonverbal, because there are no words to it, you don't really, you get one aspect of my thoughts, but not all of it. Right? Like there's still more to me that you don't understand. And I really want to be able to share those things with you. There's a lot of stuff that goes into a piece that makes it what it is for me. I'm sure you've read or seen my lengthy descriptions and haven't read them. And truth be told out, I probably wouldn't read them either. But the reason why I do write them is to show you that I put a lot of thought into what I'm doing. Each piece is a story that I'm trying to tell. Each piece is a part of me, essentially. And I really hope that through something like this, I'm able to connect with you more and be able to tell you more of this story more directly. Second reason comes back to content and these descriptions that I've written. You might not know this. Well, you definitely don't know this, but these descriptions are actually just a shorter version of essentially essays that I've written for each and every one of the pieces that I've played, including the anime covers. YouTube limits descriptions to 5,000 characters, and since I have to throw links and other stuff and whatever into it, I can't exactly show the entirety of what I've written. The entirety of what I've written sometimes is like 10 pages long. But going through it, right, like a lot of it is actually just my notes on how I performed, right? Like I talk about different aspects or spots where I feel like I could have done better, things that I was thinking when I was playing it or what have you. It is quite lengthy and there's a lot more detail and nuance in what I say in the rest of that essay, essentially. And so I thought to myself, right, like since I learn music very slowly. That's why I upload only once every other week, if at that, right? I learn very slowly. 2, I'm a perfectionist, which makes learning slow even worse. 3, I am currently a college student, right? I won't have the luxury of being here and having all this time to practice forever. I might as well be able to put out more content, especially because I'm already putting in the effort to make it, you know. But third and final reason, that I think the most important reason that I want to make this is because I really do want to break down what makes a performance great. We listen to a lot of piano music that's either classical or played by, you know, other pianists that we really admire. And the names that are thrown around a lot in these circles are people like Katin, if we're talking about classical music, Lang Lang, Yundi Lee. But when we move on to anime, it's also people like Animens and stuff like that. What makes them great? That's essentially the question that I want to answer. And I think that there's 2 main groups of people that I want to engage with in this series. And those are essentially going to cover all people, I guess, now that I think about it. The first group of people are people who just listen to piano music or are beginners at playing piano. For these people, I feel like there's a lot of the times when they listen, or even myself sometimes, I remember being younger when I was playing, you hear these pieces, you hear these performances, and you're like, wow, this is incredible, this is great. And the one thing that sticks out to you the most is how fast the people are playing, how fast the performance fingers are moving, how accurate they're playing. And don't get me wrong, right? Don't get me wrong. That's incredible. It takes a lot of talent, it takes a lot of skill. You know, I wish I could play like that, like half the time. But there's also another aspect to it where it revolves not so much around like the speed of the fingers, but the application of that speed, right? There is not so much how many notes they're playing or what tempo they're playing at, but why they chose the tempo and how does that accentuate certain things that they're trying to bring out in the score, bring out in the music, and to get you, the listener, to feel, right? What touches are they using? How are they articulating certain notes? How are they articulating certain phrases? Why is this part voiced more than another, right? And these are all things that are helped and encouraged by the tempo, but aren't the tempo and the technique in and of themselves. Tempo and technique are tools to be used for expression. And the more I think we learn to see this in the performances of others, the more we'll be able to apply it to our own playing and to understand how to storytell in the way that's compelling and that connects with people. Because ultimately as musicians, we want to connect with people. You play anime music, if you're an anime pianist, because you connected with that song. That song says something to you. And for most of us who don't know Japanese, it is incredible that it does, right? You play classical music because it says something to you. I play these things because each and every one of the pieces and songs that I play, it tells a story that I want to tell. It resonates with a part of me. And that's why I want to put in the effort to make music. And if you're someone who spends time doing this, or if you're someone who spends a lot of time listening to music, it feels like you're not getting the whole scope of the picture without understanding some of the nuances of what's going on. Now, don't get me wrong, right? You can enjoy music perfectly fine without understanding anything that I talk about, anything about technique, anything about, you know, the subtleties or whatever, right? Because music fundamentally speaks to us at a very emotional level. But I find a lot of times that when something is deconstructed and when I understand the finer nuances and details of what's going on, it heightens my experience even more. It makes me even more excited to engage with it. It makes me even more willing to come back and listen to more and to see what this artist has to say. So that's the first group of people that I want to engage with, right? The beginners and the people who only listen to music and maybe not necessarily play piano music. Second group of people that I want to engage with are the intermediate to advanced pianists, or even the critic, right? The critical listener, because I'm not the greatest at piano. I'm not the greatest pianist out there, but what I do have is my own experiences, my own style, things that I hear, ways that I've been taught. And I really hope for the intermediate or the advanced pianist or the critic who listens to my music is that before you judge what I'm doing wrong, before you have an issue with what I'm playing, or even if you don't have an issue with how I'm playing or what I'm doing and stuff like that, that I am able to impart a little bit of a deeper understanding to you on why I'm doing these things, so that then you can perhaps get into my head a little bit more than what just a listen through would do. And obviously, you know, for everyone who's critical of how I play, you know, because I mean, that's what happens in classical music. Everyone has their opinion on how they want to play Bach, which is why I hopefully will never post a Bach video. Yeah, hopefully before you go and grab your pitchforks and start like trying to burn down my house or whatever, I would really hope that you would hear me out and to maybe even try to take my perspective a little bit. So that's for the intermediate to advanced pianist. Anyways, how these videos are going to end up is, to start, right, I'm going to go through a lot of my own videos and just explain some of the background to the piece, right? My experiences with it, my thoughts going into it, some of the history and how I'm choosing to interpret it. And then I'll go through and review my performance. I'll talk about what I'm thinking at certain parts, how I'm trying to process these things, because, you know, I take recording very seriously. I prepare for my recording days as if they were performance days for me. And so I think it'll be interesting to discuss some of those things on camera as well, despite my horrible camera presence, as you can clearly see in this video. Hopefully I'll start off with just my stuff, but we'll move on to talking about other people's stuff as you guys request. If this community stays at the size it is because YouTube, then maybe I'll review some animens, maybe I'll review some Katyn or whatever. But I really want these videos to be analyses and reviews, right? I don't want to react. Hopefully we'll get to that at some point, depending on my busy schedule. But fear not, the bi-weekly uploads of me playing piano will continue. They will definitely continue as long as I'm able to record and practice and I have time to do all those things. And I'm currently behind on recording, so Who knows? But in the end, I hope that this is a useful series to you. Hope that it's useful and interesting for me as well. And I hope you'll stick around. Now, as with all my videos, this video was brought to you by Just Be Records, my music production company. If you need help with mixing, mastering, or anything else, please check out the link in the description below and shoot me an email. Tell me that I sent you from this YouTube channel, and I'll see how I can help you with your project. If this sounds interesting to you, there will be a video right here analyzing watts in a performance. If you don't want to listen to analyses and you just want to listen to music, you can click here for my anime playlist, and down here for my classical playlist. And until next time, peace.